So here's the cool thing about physics and knowing a little bit of physics when you do this kind of stuff. And chemistry, right? You gotta know everything. And so I started looking, and what I have here is a lesson in specific gravity. Okay? Specific gravity is a test we do, and we'll weigh this stone on in air, just like regular, and then we put a container of water on the scale, and I dunk this in till it's all the way to the top, and the water it displaces gives me the volume of that rock, the exact volume of the rock. And then you have a cubic centimeter type reading, and you take the weight in air, and that divide it in there, and that gives you the specific gravity. Okay, what we're doing there is not testing weight. What we're testing is the volume of each stone. Okay, so this one, it's big, and that volume is hard to calculate if I went around and measured every one of those damn little things there, right? And so, a guy named Archimedes back in Greece got the idea from climbing in his bath that when you get in that bathtub, it displaces a U-sized amount of water. And when I look at the amount of water this displaces, and I compare it to the weight, it's a weight to volume ratio. So it can be, I've got two scales, and the scale that I use for the water weight is a pretty heavy-duty scale, because I've got big rocks. Okay, so, but I don't have to weigh these. Check the volume, right? Because this one weighs half of what this one weighs. This one's heavy. You pick it up, it's cold, like all rocks usually are, and it's heavy, really heavy, because it's pretty dense stuff. The corundum is the second hardest material on Earth, next to a diamond. And so this stone and this stone are just about the same size. I mean, when you kind of look around it's they're both pretty beefy. And when I pick up this one, the first thing I think is, boy, that's nice heavy rock, man. This one feels like like it's almost weightless, or the reason is because it's just carbon, right? Carbon atoms all lined up in little rows and columns in there. And carbon is the sixth element up the periodic table. It's only got 6 protons and 6 electrons, and then a range of neutrons from 6 through 8. And the 8th one is radioactive carbon-14. So this is so much lighter than this because it's made out of lighter atoms. There was a guy named Avogadro way back when, and he started figuring this stuff out. And he came up with this strange number, Avogadro's number. And that number helps us understand why these things happen a little bit. I'm still working on it. I am the more I know, quoting my father, the more I know I don't know. Because I thought that was quartz too, man. I did for 30 years. I'd been picking it up off the ground, going, fancy quartz, right? I mean, I didn't pick this one up off the ground, but I picked up a lot. And when I see this and I feel how light it is, that's the way you know it's a diamond and not a ruby or a sapphire or something like that. Also, I think they've got kind of many of them like this one here, got like a plasticky feel to it. That's a natural crystal shape. That was not cut. I polished up the sides a little bit. But anyway, that's the cool thing. There you go. Science is about measuring the universe we live in. And it's real easy to do if you take the time to figure out what you're looking at. I know people do those specific gravity tests. And out of the 100-odd people I've helped learn how to do that in the past few years, not one of them knew what it was that they were measuring there. They didn't understand the weight to volume thing, because all they're getting is weights, right? The instructions say, weigh this here, weigh that there. And so it doesn't mean anything because they're just following instructions by rote rather than figuring out the universe on their own, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so I don't do that kind of stuff. If I have to do something like to identify these, I go read a book. I go find a book. I look it up, man, every time. And I do that several times a day, all the time, still. I write because it just bubbles out of me. But I read voraciously, and I read all the time because that's where true information comes from. The weight to volume ratio is called specific gravity. It means how heavy is this per volume of rock. And by dunking it in water, I can get the exact size because 1 cubic centimeter of water weighs 1 gram. So when I measure the water displaced, I know that many grams is that much volume inside this stone, cubic volume inside this stone. So there we are. You've had your lesson for the morning.